Hey everyone, Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. It's the 17th of October, 2022. Thank you all for making us a part of your day. On today's show, we will be looking at the news last week that Fox is blocking the move for Texas and Oklahoma to go to the SEC before 2025, which is when they're scheduled to go, and the impacts of that in the Big 12 conference. Also, we look at the teams joining the Big 12. Are they disappointing right now this season? And also look at Big 12 teams in the top 25. So a busy show coming up for you all today.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LO Big 12. You guys can find me at Josh Neighbors _. You guys can find the show wherever your podcast and on YouTube. Please make sure you guys subscribe. We're heading towards 2,500 subscribers right now, trying to get there by the end of October. So help us get there. Please subscribe to the channel today and make sure you tell your friends about Locked On Big 12, the best place for all of your Big 12 content. So this is something that we did not get to last week. I want to make sure that we get to it now. We discussed last week the news that the Big 12 has basically deciding to keep the non-divisional structure in the Big 12 moving forward. That was a report last week from Ross Dellinger. So it sounds like the Big 12, as opposed to going to 17 divisions in 23 and potentially 24, when we've got 14 teams in the league, they have decided they're not going to do that, right? It's going to be everybody plays everybody. Everybody should play everybody within 2 years is the plan. Well, the deal is now that they actually might get a chance. Oklahoma and Texas might actually play every single team. The four new schools might get a chance to play Oklahoma and Texas. Maybe home, maybe away. We do not know yet. The schedule has not been released. But what we do know is that, once again, no divisions, and also rivalries are protected. And also, it sounds like Fox might be blocking the move for Oklahoma and Texas to leave early. This came from Dennis Dodd last week. Quote, though there was a belief that Texas and Oklahoma may have been attempting to exit the Big 12 1 year early in 2024, sources told Dodd that Fox would likely have demanded a return to make its future programming whole, including a top-tier selection of games years into the future, given the marquee programs that would have left its airwaves. That's beyond what would have been a potentially massive early exit fee the programs would have needed to pay the Big 12 directly. So we know right now, to finish off on this, the two schools will owe the Big 12 $80 million when they each leave the league. And to leave a year earlier, it would cost them an extra $100 million. So we know the Big 12 is owed $80 million a piece on the way out. That's very nice. That'll be good for distribution to all the member schools at that point in time, an extra chunk of change. A total of 160 million. So that means that out of the 160 million, every single school is going to be getting over $10 million once those schools depart, if they're going to distribute it that way. But that's kind of the way you figure they normally do these things. Maybe they distribute a portion of it. We'll see. But that's kind of the way it goes normally with the chunks of change when conferences get them, whether it be television or, rights, things like that, sponsorships. So that's kind of how the division will usually go. But the interesting thing about all of this is the Fox piece. All right. So some of you who might not be understanding, what does this mean? So the Big 12 right now owes Fox, Oklahoma and Texas games through 2023, 2024, and then it stops at 2025 when the grant of rights expires. Fox paid for the Big 12 with Oklahoma and Texas in it. And you have to understand, I mean, there's a lot of marquee games that that network puts on that involve Oklahoma and Texas. We've seen OU and Texas on Fox before, right? We saw this year, we saw Alabama play Texas on Fox, right? We saw Oklahoma play Kansas State on Fox. And I'm sure the rest of the year we'll see those schools return to Fox at some point. Well, they're not just owed that for this season. They're owed that for next season. They're owed that for 2024 as well. And so, while the Big 12 might say, okay, we're cool with Texas and Oklahoma leaving for a certain chunk of change, Fox is saying, well, we're not, right? We are not okay with that. And because Oklahoma and Texas are becoming exclusively ABC and ESPN properties, that means, that means that Fox is saying, well, we want something in return. We want either selection, game selection rights, or we want some certain broadcasts. Because think about this. The Big Ten is going exclusively to Fox. The SEC is going exclusively to ABC and Disney. And the Big 12 right now is currently in between. The Pac-12 is looking for their next deal. And then the ACC right now is exclusively on ESPN family of networks. Then whenever the Notre Dame stuff happens, ACC network, NBC occasionally when those kind of opportunities present themselves. And so with this split, it becomes really interesting. What kind of inventory is Fox looking for? But y'all have to understand, like, Fox is saying we pay a certain amount of money for this Big 12 content with the assumption that Oklahoma and Texas, the two biggest brands in the league, are going to be there. And now what they're saying is, well, if you're not going to give that to us, we're not going to, we want what we paid for, essentially. Or if you're going to extract that early, what we would like is top tier selection of games into the future, right? And games, marquee matchups into the future. And, this or certain match, like either selection or certain matchups, right? Well, here, I'll read the quote again. Sources told Dodd that Fox would likely have demanded a return to make its future programming whole, including a top-tier selection of games years into the future, given the marquee programs that would have left its airwaves early. That's beyond what would be an early, the massive early exit fee. So you wonder what kind of games would they be getting? Because when the Big Ten is exclusively on Fox and, the SEC is exclusively on ABC and ESPN, then what programming are they sharing to have it go either way? Like right now, Alabama versus Texas was a game between a Big 12 school and, an SEC school. And so they wanted that. That's why they got that. Like, would Fox get access to those games? Would they get access to SEC programming? Would that be the way that this thing works? I don't know, because the future of all the television stuff is going to be, it's going to be a pretty linear, it's going to be a pretty clear split, right? With once again, Big Ten on the Fox side, and then the SEC on the other side, the ACC on the other side. And then we'll see what happens with the Big 12. They go in multiple directions, the Pac-12 multiple directions, and so on. But like top tier matchups, usually that's going to include SEC teams and Big Ten teams. And they're talking about, once again, some of the highest pick games every single year, Oklahoma and Texas. That Texas-Alabama game was a high draft pick in the television draft. They do was number one pick, I believe they did. And with that being kind of that be a situation now where both those properties are on the ESPN side of the street, how would this work? Would Fox just get those games? Would they want content? All right, we're going to put SEC on our television and we're not going to do it moving forward. Or is your best kind of, plan of action here to just stick with the programming you have right now and block the move for them? Because think about it like this, right? They pay the certain number because on these games, they know that advertisers will pay a certain number to them and make it worth their while. Well, if Oklahoma and Texas leave early and the Fox is not getting as much money as they thought they were going to get for some of the matchups that they have on at that point, they've lost. They've overpaid for the Big 12. They have not, repaid themselves basically, or made that number back, made the money that they thought they were going to, because they didn't have the inventory they thought they were going to. They didn't have the matchups they thought they were going to. The advertisers weren't getting the teams, the big matchups, the eyeballs to put their products at certain places that they wanted. All of this stuff is related. It's not just like, and I know a lot of you all out there, the fans of the Big 12 who are not OU and Texas fans, y'all want them gone as soon as possible. I understand that. That is the prevailing sentiment. I'm not, I feel like I'm not speaking out of turn here. You all, once again, the comment section's open and available. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but you all have expressed it over time that you guys want these schools, Oklahoma and Texas, see ya, gone, gonzo, out of here. We don't want you in the league anymore. We'll take your money and you guys can go ahead. But if you're Fox, you just can't let that happen, right? I mean, I'll defend, I'm not in the business on the show defending the major television networks, right? I believe they are, I think this is a lot of us, right? They're behind a lot of these moves. One network right now is behind the lack of a move, right? And the Big 12 can't just say, well, F you, Fox, we're out of here. Let these guys go. We'll take the money. No, they might have a future relationship, the Big 12, with Fox. They can't just say goodbye to him. So I'm not in the business of always siding with television networks, but right here, Fox has a point. They paid for a product. That's the product they want. And so if they don't want Oklahoma and Texas to leave too early, the Big 12 ain't going to let them go early. That's just the bottom line. The Big 12 is going to get the money either way. So either you get the money, the extra money, right, on the back end, if you have them leave early, you piss off Fox, and you probably have to help make Fox whole, and then you have to negotiate with Fox, or you say, all right, we respect your wishes, Fox. We'll keep them around. We'll keep making the advertising money that, we'll keep getting the money from you all, obviously, in the grant of rights. We'll keep doing well because the Big 12 television-wise has been doing very, very well recently. They're having some of their best years as of late. So that continues. They'll continue to do well with Oklahoma and Texas in the league. Hopefully, they do well when they leave. And so I think the best thing the Big 12 can do here is just kind of back away and say, all right, Fox feels this way. We're 110% on this. But somebody would have to make, and that'd be SEC and ABC and ESPN, excuse me. Somebody would have to make Fox whole. And I don't know if SEC, if ABC, if Disney, if ESPN are willing to do that, or they're just going to say, you know what? Let's just wait till 2025. Let's just do it. But guys, this further proves the point. The television networks are involved in all of this. Fox, do you guys think that Fox does not sign off on USC and UCLA to the Big Ten? Guess who's got the Big Ten contract? Fox. That's who's got it, guys. Oklahoma and ABC, Oklahoma and Texas to ESPN and Disney. Guess who signed off on that? It was the television networks. They claim they're not involved, but whoever starts it, that's fine. But guess who is the big thumbs up? Fox is blocking the move right now for these schools to go to the SEC. All right, a television network is blocking the move. What do you think? Who do you think approved the move initially? ABC, Disney, ESPN. We can say, well, they stopped the move. No, they can't stop the joining the conference. They can't stop that. They can stop, they can help who adds where and when they're added and stuff like that. Schools have to make decisions, but they can spur the stuff on. They can hold it up. And also think about this too, the Big Ten going all the way with Fox and the inevitability of an expanded college football playoff, folks. Well, it's going to be like the NFL. The NFL playoffs are in different places. They are on NBC. They are on Fox. They are on CBS. I think, at ABC at some points, right? I think they probably eventually are going to do an Amazon game, right? We think it's going to happen at some point. They divvy that thing up. That's the same way it's going to go. Fox is going to get part of the expanded playoff. ABC, ESPN, part of the expanded playoff. We'll see if CBS gets involved with the expanded playoff. Maybe Amazon. We know they have interest. We'll have more on that later on in the week. Maybe they have interest in it. But it should not be surprising to you all that Fox and ABC and ESPN and Disney are this involved. Would the folks over at Disney love to get Oklahoma and Texas there earlier? Yes, they would. I know a lot of you would love that too, to say goodbye, good riddance. But Fox is owed Oklahoma and Texas games. They will get their Oklahoma and Texas games, by God. They're hell-bent on getting that, and you can't blame them. You absolutely cannot blame them for wanting to get that content. All right, quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you all by Upside. Go to Upside today, download the app. From cringing at the pump to getting eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts right now. That's why I started using the Upside app. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. To get started, download the free Upside app using the promo code LOCKED, LOCKED, and get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside, check in at the business, pay as usual with a credit or debit card, and get paid. In comparison to credit card rewards and loyalty programs, you get 3 times more cash back with Upside. So once again, download the app, use the promo code LOCKED, LOCKED. You guys can start saving today. Once again, promo code LOCKED. Okay. Let's actually, what we're going to do audible here. Let's save the stuff about the new Big 12 schools struggling. Let's save that for a different day. We'll hit on that later this week. Also, I want to talk to Jake Hatch some from Locked On BYU. So he and I we'll get into that later on this week. Let's go with Big 12 teams in the top 25. All right. We got a new top 25 this week. I will share my screen with you all so we can see this. The AP top 25 came out yesterday. Share that. Boom. Go ahead. Here we go. All right. So the AP top 25 right now. We've got Georgia at number 1, Ohio State at number 2, Tennessee at number 3, Michigan at number 4, Clemson at number 5. I've got no problem with that. Tennessee with a huge win over Alabama. I think Clemson deserves a lot of respect. I mean, I know their strength of schedule isn't crazy awesome, crazy good, but they've got wins on the road against Wake Forest, who we know is really good. They've got win against NC State. They won on the road against what I think is actually a very, very good or improving, I should say, Florida State team. They thumped them pretty easily. So I think they're at 5 and people are leapfrogging them, jumping them. If Clemson just stays the path, stays the course, they should be good to go for the college football playoff at the end, running that, go the rest of the way. Big one against Syracuse this week, though. Alabama 6, Ole Miss 7, TCU 8, UCLA 9, Oregon 10. TCU, the Big 12 team, checking in the top 10 this week. Are we sure that TCU's not as good as Ole Miss? Man, did that Ole Miss defense look rough this week against a really bad Auburn team? I mean, they got punched in the mouth against Auburn. Their offense was really good and they got the job done. They like to run the football a lot. I think TCU Ole Miss will be a fascinating game. I think there's a chance those two teams meet in a New Year's Six Bowl for sure. I think that's a definite possibility. But I think about those two schools together, and I know Ole Miss beats Auburn, so it's kind of a nice win, whatever, but it wasn't that super convincing. TCU rallies past Oklahoma State in a big matchup there. So, and people had them flip-flop. So, I understand that. Number 11, Oklahoma State. Number 12, USC. Number 13, Wake Forest. Number 14, Syracuse. Number 15, Utah. I'll tell you what about USC, guys. Lincoln Riley switches teams. Alex Grin switches teams. The problems remain for them on the defensive end. That was a horrible defensive performance from them in that game. 16, Penn State. 17, Kansas State, who was off, so their Big 12 school there. 18, Illinois. 19, Kentucky. And 20 is Texas. So there you go. Teams number 3 and 4 of the Big 12 that are ranked, with Kansas State right behind Penn State, and also Texas jumping up a couple spots at 5 and 2. Squeaked out a win, so I think they're in the right spot for them. Kansas State on the bye, so they hold steady. 21 is Cincinnati. 22 is North Carolina. 23 is NC State. 24 Mississippi State, and number 25 Tulane is also there as well. So in that group, you've got future Big 12 members, Cincinnati at 5 and 1. I think there's some questions about how good that team is as well. But I think when you think about, these top 25s, like they matter, but they won't matter in 2 weeks. I believe Halloween night is the first night that we have a college football playoff ranking. I think that's correct. October 31st. All right. So October 31st, Monday night, I believe is when we get it, or Tuesday. I forget which one, whatever one it is. Monday or Tuesday when the first rank comes out, November 1st. These rankings go by the wayside. And look, they have a lot of people in these. I actually thought the rankings this week, there's nothing too crazy. If you go to Reddit College Football, they have a great aggregator that shows you who voted where. I always love looking at that because it's so interesting to see who has what teams ranked, at what places. You can see the variety in the top 25, right? Somebody still has somebody covers Notre Dame, still has Alabama at number 3. I think this week's poll? This is last week's poll. This is Alabama at number 3 in the country. Oh boy, that is a bonkers thing to have happen. So you'll see some of these like really weird polls that come out with the top 25, and you'll see some of the weird rankings. I think the one thing that's nice, while the committee doesn't always get it correct, there is something to be said about like just getting people in the room to hash it out and talk it out. And I have all these reporters who are all over the country putting different teams at different spots. You just don't get as much of that. Yeah, actually, this is correct. So Mike Berardino, who covers Notre Dame, has Tennessee ranked number 6, has Alabama number 3 in the poll right now. Like, I don't know, maybe you think Alabama's better than Tennessee. That's what I thought when I watched the game. Whatever, it's fine. But like, they're number 3, number 6 in the poll, and Tennessee goes and gets the job done in the game. You can't deny the result like that. You have your opinions. We're putting a poll together. We can't be doing that. And then, right down the line from him, we have somebody who put Tennessee number 1, John Wilner, who, I once again respect. We talked about him a lot in the show, but you'll see stuff like that all the time. I mean, you'll see some very odd things. A whole lot of TCU being ranked number 6 in a lot of people's polls. There's a whole lot of that. There are a lot of people who do have them ahead of the Ole Miss Rebels. And then you'll see, a lot of people still have Oklahoma State in their top 10. There's actually a good deal of people who have that. Some people have dropped them, ladder into their poll. Not many people have them outside the top 15, which is good news. Obviously, number 11 in the country right now. In that kind of 11 to 15 range is where you see a good amount of variety, just kind of the crossing forwards and backwards of teams. But a lot of Kansas State getting up there. At least one voter, Kirk Bowles, from the, I believe, what is he? Still Austin American Statesman? Yeah. Who covers Texas, has the Kansas State Wildcats at number 9 in the country. Once again, check this out. It's the AP poll number 8. You guys can find it at Reddit College Football. They've got the variety there. All right, one more word from our sponsors before we get out of here on the show today. We are brought to you by the friends at Nissan. Our partners at Nissan have worked with us to create a new segment across the Locked On College Network. This is titled Thrilling Moments, where we pick out a moment from all the games this week that we find to be the thrilling moment. And I have to pick the final play of the game in Oklahoma State and TCU. Kendre Miller, 2-yard run into the end zone to give TCU the advantage and the win. How is that not the thrilling play of the week? Just because the consequences of the play. Once again, this segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in an all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at Nissan.com. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at LOBig12. You guys can find me at JoshNeighbors_. You can find the show or podcast and on YouTube as well. Please subscribe. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.